G'day people, I'm Sharon, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to thread a sewing machine. Specifically, it's the Janome DC 6050. However, it's fairly generic in the way that it is threaded. And you will find that most Janomes and Elnas and Brothers, and probably the other brands as well, thread fairly similarly. Listen to what I'm saying, take away the information, because there are things here that you're probably not aware of. Very big thank you to Wendy from the Janome Sewing Centre in Stirling Highway, Nedlands, who loaned me this machine for the demonstration. Thanks, Wendy. Firstly, I'm going to show you where the presser foot pressure is on this particular machine. It's not going to take too long if this is not your machine, but the Janome DCs at the moment all pretty much have their pressure in this place. This is what they're doing on the current machines for where they're putting the presser foot pressure. So 6 is heavy pressure, and if you want lighter pressure on your fabric, you move that way, get a lower number. It'll have lighter pressure on the foot, which is how hard the foot is pressing on your fabric. If you're sewing on stretchy fabric and you're pressing on it too much, you will stretch the fabric while you're sewing. Now I'm going to show you how to wind a bobbin. Make sure you're using the right bobbin for your machine. They do vary in size, both the diameter and also the height of the bobbin. So make sure you're using the right one. I'm going to thread the bobbin or wind a bobbin. I'm going to take my thread from underneath. I've actually got this because these reels of thread are a little bit long. I've got this on back to front. I go in here. I need it to be firmly in there. That is the tension for winding a bobbin. Little trick, fold the thread and give it a twist. That will give you something that's quite firm. On your bobbin, you need to go through the hole from the inside of the bobbin to the outside of the bobbin. Put it over here and hold the thread at the top. When I click over, at the moment the foot control in this machine is connected, so I'm going to press the foot control. Now how fast that will go, I've got my foot flat to the floor. If I move this, which is my speed limiter, I can make it go faster. Once I've got sufficient thread on there that this cannot come loose and leave me with a random end of thread, cut it off very close to the bobbin. Don't leave a pile of thread, 1/4 of an inch, a 1/2 inch, a centimetre of thread hanging out there. Cut it off right close to the bobbin. I can detach my foot control and then I can operate the machine on the start stop button. Now once again, this here will change how fast it's winding. Everything back together and cut that off. And that was doing a bobbin. Many people don't realise that if you wind your bobbin too quickly, it's possible to stretch the thread as it goes onto the bobbin. And then there are 2 things it can do. The first one, if it's bad enough, when you go to get the bobbin off the spindle of the machine, it won't come off. It's actually being held on there by that thread. The other thing that will happen potentially is that when you go to sew with it, as the threads relax, they actually draw up and sort of semi-gather your fabric. So winding your bobbin a little bit more slowly can help with that. The machines that have an independent bobbin winder where you have a separate button for winding your bobbin, they shouldn't do that. They should be set correctly. But be aware, winding your bobbin too fast can cause problems. It's a nice firm bobbin. It doesn't have any loose bits wobbling around in it. If I had threaded that and it had bits poking out, don't throw it away or try and unwind it. Put it on here. Go back to there. Put it back on here and wind it onto another bobbin. If your machine is electronic, it probably has a needle up down button. Before you start threading the main body of the machine, press that twice. Make the needle go down and back up again, and that will make sure that everything is in the right place for threading. Thread on here, and once again I'm putting this in back to front because it's a long reel of thread. This time I do not go through that bit, I go under there. The number 1, I go under it. Come to number 2, down to number 3, up and around number 4. Now you'll notice I kept hold of this the whole time I did that. That is to make sure that that thread is now firmly into the tension discs. That's why I hang on to it until I've gone that far. When I came down here from number 4, I go past 5, and you can see there's a little wiggle there. That wiggle is in here. When you get down this far, you can see above the needle here, there's another hook, another guide for the thread to go in. Go to the left. So that is guiding it just above the needle. One of the nice things about this particular machine is when I pull the needle threader down, which is here, it stays down on its own, and that does make things better. I'm going to hold the end of the thread, go under that guide. I need to go under the little wire bit here and up. As I push this up, it will pull a little loop to the back. I need to grab hold of that little loop and pull through. One of the things to remember, don't pull on the end because that will just unthread the needle again. The first time you do this, it will feel awkward as anything possibly can. By the time you've done it 10 times, you're starting to get used to it. To put my bobbin in, pull this bit to the right. There's a picture on here that shows you the thread is coming off to the left. So if I pull on it, it's going to be going anti-clockwise. It's like a letter P. It's because we're all practically perfect in every way, just like Mary Poppins. Put the thread in there, finger on the top. I like to keep that under control, and I need to go under this bit. Follow that around. There's a 1 there, around to 2, and cut off. There's actually a little blade in there that will cut it off. Cover back on, and we're ready to sew. You don't need on these machines to actually pull the bobbin thread up to the top. If your bobbin case doesn't look exactly like this one, you might want to check out my video about threading the Janome FD206. The way that the bobbin goes in there is a slightly older style. The machine that I've just threaded for you is a top loading bobbin, which means that you can see the bobbin. It's usually behind a clear little cover. There are machines that are front loading, and they will have a bobbin case and bobbin. Often it's a plastic bobbin still, but a separate bobbin case that comes out of the machine. With these ones, in all cases when a bobbin goes in, the thread has to come back on itself. If the thread is coming off the bobbin like a letter P, it'll be coming down this side from your perspective. It then has to go back up against itself. In all cases, that's the part of the bobbin case that makes tension happen. So if it was coming off this side, it has to go back this way. If it's coming off this side, it has to go back that way. In these bobbins and these cases, this one's actually like a letter Q. And when I put it in there, it's pulling down and the thread's going around clockwise. But the place where I've got to take the thread back is on that right-hand side, and I go up. At that point, the thread is doing that thing again where it's coming around and then it's coming around that way and going back up. With these sorts of bobbin cases, this is very fiddly. This piece on the front, when you're holding that, that will stop the bobbin from falling out. So when you go to put this into the machine, you're holding that piece because that stops the bobbin from falling out of the bobbin case. At some stage I'll have to try and show you that on one of my other machines. So the machine is now threaded. It's ready to go. And as long as it's got good thread, good needle, and it's been threaded properly, it's probably going to work. See you next time.